What's going on, geeks and geekettes? It's another edition of the Countdown City Geekcast. Let me make sure my mic is not on mute. My name is Ted, aka Mr. Hall H. Joining me on this very special stream is a couple of dudes that are going on an adventure with me next week. To my right, it's one and only SDCC Dave.
Back again.
And we got SDC Colin.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
This is a very unique show because we are 9 days away from San Diego Comic-Con 2025. And it honestly feels like a sort of a new era for the event. We are kind of ending what once was, and this feels like it's sort of headed. The event itself is headed in a new direction. If you've never been, that's okay. We're going to give you the best possible experiences, videos, coverage of the event. And then later on in the show, we're going to be talking all about SpaceCon San Antonio. If San Diego is the biggest sort of promotional event in the country, SpaceCon San Antonio is the biggest comic convention in the country. And I'm not exaggerating just because we're a part of it every year. They bring so many big names. It is so well ran and organized. And our team does the absolute very best to sort of give everybody in attendance the best possible experience that we're able to. And then also towards the end of the show, we're going to be talking a little bit about Superman because Dave and I did talk about it a little bit. It was a non-spoilerish mostly talk. Now that the movie's been out for about a week, if you were part of the Prime Video screenings, we'll get more into it. And then we'll hear it from Colin, who's an even bigger Superman fan than the two of us, maybe put together. But we'll do that as well. If you're in the chat, say what's up. We want to hear about who you're excited for at SpaceCon. What news are you excited for coming out of San Diego Comic-Con? And then later on, join us for the Superman talk because I think that's going to be fun. But first, I talked about San Diego Comic-Con, so that's where we're going to start. Let's talk about sort of the two really big announcements that dropped over the last couple of days. And Dave's going to tell you exactly how shocked I was about these announcements. So, Dave, if you will, why don't you talk about The Maker and his appearance at his first ever San Diego Comic-Con?
Yeah, shockingly enough, George Lucas is heading to his first ever San Diego Comic-Con. And yeah, it's incredible. It's Colin's first ever SDCC, and it's George Lucas's. They're going to meet there in the middle there.
Coincidence? I think not.
Yeah, and the reason he's going to be there is essentially, I think we all are kind of thinking it's to promote his new museum that he's having built in LA. The Hollywood Reporter created an article here. It says the Star Wars creator will headline a panel on his Lucas Museum of Narrative Art, and will be joined by Guillermo del Toro and Queen Latifah, as well as Doug Chiang, who is a legendary Star Wars creator. Um, and yeah, Guillermo del Toro. I mean, he is one of the best people to have at SDCC. I mean, he is hilarious. I mean, just his stories and his comedy alone, it's worth worth getting into Hall H for. I was hoping to actually see him last year. He wasn't there last year. He has Frankenstein coming out on Netflix, I believe. So he'll be promoting a little bit of that. But of course, he's one of the all-time great directors, great creators, as you can see on the screen there. You have GDT, Doug Chang, and Queen Latifah is going to moderate. So, and this panel is going to take place on Sunday at 11:30, I believe. So early in the morning. If you're going to get there early. Hopefully, it'll be on YouTube by the end of lunch, possibly. But the biggest thing I think on Sunday at Hall H, I think that's been announced. Correct?
I think it's one of the only things. Sunday at Hall H is sort of where they're tearing down already. So if they do anything, it's like really early on Sunday, and then by like noon or like 1 o'clock, that's a wrap. They close it. Nobody's allowed in. And I think they're just either tearing stuff down or who knows what they're doing back there. But yeah, usually Sunday is not really. There's not a whole lot going on. I'm trying to remember when. I think it was a directors on directors panel from maybe later. I know they're there every year, and I want to say Guillermo was there one year, and dude is hilarious.
Yeah.
So funny, he's so witty. You just love how humble the man is, and he's just willing to kind of talk about anything, his experiences, what he likes, what he doesn't like. And I don't remember which director it was, but there was a director he kept calling out in like a good way, like, oh, I love that guy, he does great movies, stuff like that. And the crowd's just eating it all up. So he's hysterical. Queen Latifah, this is going to be interesting. I don't know her panel style. I've never seen her do a moderated panel before, and I've seen just about everybody on that stage in Hall H do moderating for a panel. So that'll be extremely interesting. But I was surprised to hear that this is going to be George's first San Diego Comic Con. I was there in 2015 when Star Wars had their last Hall H panel at San Diego, and you could not have told me it was going to be their last because they went all out. They were promoting The Force Awakens. They had a huge panel with like all the cast, and then afterwards, they took everybody out of Hall H. Sorry, Kevin Smith, for them doing this, by the way. They took everybody Hall H. They walked us outside to the back of the convention center where there's like this sort of long peninsula, and they had built like a music festival size stage outside, and they had a full orchestra playing John Williams score, accompanied by Star Wars themed fireworks, a whole fireworks display, all Star Wars themed. What do Star Wars themed fireworks look like, you ask? I'm talking about like Death Stars, and they were exploding. I'm like, how did they do that? It was crazy. So yeah, I that they went so big in 2015. I couldn't imagine that they would have stopped right after that. So it's not a Star Wars panel, but it's almost like the next best thing because it is George for the first time at Hall H. And more important than what he's going to say or do on that stage is the ovation that man is going to get. We owe him so much. And unless you flew to, to one of these big events, when's the last Star Wars celebration he's been to?
It was 2017 Orlando. Colin and I were both there, and we saw him in person. And he was never announced to be there, but we were just told you don't want to miss this panel. And everyone living in Star Wars, it's important, was there.
Yeah. So I can't imagine, because so few fans get to see him in person, that this is going to be like a really big deal for everybody. And I don't know how big that room was in 2017, but Hall H is around 5 to 6,000 people. They kind of estimate as much as 7, but I've never really seen it get that big. So yeah, it's going to be a momentous occasion to see the man himself in front of everybody, and he's promoting his museum, the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. Do you know anything about that museum? What he plans on displaying there or putting on this, as an exhibit?
I know
So
there's going to be a small Star Wars portion, but
yes,
it's not really a Star Wars museum per se. It's more dedicated to cinema and storytelling, and he's
yeah.
collected a lot of things over the years, and
There's
all that stuff is
also
on display.
right, and he's in stuff with Indiana Jones. He's in stuff with animation. He has his first major, sorry, his first big film that he ever did was American Graffiti. So there will probably be a bunch of stuff from there too.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's really awesome. Well, it's exciting. Can't wait to see. Really, like that's the first thing is like that ovation he's gonna get just being in Hall H at San Diego. Um, I've seen some big pops at Hall H. David and I were a part of arguably the biggest roar in Hall H history with the reveal of Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. And I feel like George is going to get something similar on that level. We might not even sit down. If nobody sits down for the first 10 minutes of that panel and we're just clapping and screaming and all that, I wouldn't blame anybody at all whatsoever. I think the man deserves it. And so, yeah, I can't wait to just kind of see how that works out.
I'm already kind of getting goosebumps, man, because I didn't even think about that part of it. But yeah, I mean, you never know. This could be his last public appearance like this. I mean, you just never know. He's up there in age. He might not want to do it anymore. He might not even show up to the 50th anniversary celebration in 2027 Los Angeles. You never know. I mean, this could be it.
So what's funny is that this was actually the first time, and I don't know if this was the first time for David, but for the first time for me, and what like meeting David was the first time that I saw George Lucas in person because it was over at the 40th anniversary panel for Star Wars Celebration 2017. So this is a moment for David and I that's kind of coming full circle here, be because of us seeing George Lucas for the first time was the first time that we met, and at that convention was when the podcast was kind of born in a way. So it's surreal that this is happening, and there's so much that George Lucas has done where it's, yes, he made Star Wars, but George Lucas was a pioneer. He like he was like the founder pretty much of Industrial Light and Magic. If you have not watched Light and Magic, if you have not watched that documentary on Disney Plus, go watch it. If you want to be a filmmaker, if you want to get into that industry, if you want to feel inspired beyond belief, go watch that documentary because it is beyond amazing. It is so cool, and it just shows you how much work really went into it. And George Lucas was just ahead of his time, 100% ahead of his time. And even with the prequels, like they weren't fan favorites, but George George Lucas's response was they don't get it, they don't understand it. And now fast forward to where we are now, people love the prequels. People love Revenge of the Sith. People love Hayden now, and Ahmed Best, Jar Jar Binks. Like people didn't like that back in the day, but George Lucas always knew that one day people would finally understand it. And now we're in that present day where people do. And what's going to be really cool about this museum is that this is just going to give you more of an inside of what George Lucas, you know, of what he worked on and what he did, and I guarantee you that there's going to be things that we've never seen before. So I'm, it's going to be awesome to to be in that room and hear him talk about it. But I'm excited to go to that museum one day because there's going to be so many cool things in there to inspire the next generation of people to make magic, to make film. So I'm really, really excited about this panel.
Yeah, didn't he coin the phrase "it belongs in a museum"? I mean, he's practicing what he preached to us so many years ago.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. The reason why we bring that one up is because it's so unique, it is so special, and it's George Lucas, and it's sort of like those are because this year we are lacking the heavy hitters, and by heavy hitters, there's two of them, right? There's DC, who really hasn't been. I'm sorry to say this, guys. DC, who hasn't had a major presentation since I want to say 2018. I might be wrong. Maybe they did one in
Since
2019.
Aquaman, right?
Yeah, I think that was 2018. Well,
the sequel that came out a couple of years ago, didn't it? Didn't they have a presentation?
It did. I just don't know if they were going all out for Hall H. When I mean all out, I mean Warner Brothers would have like back to back 4 or 5 presentations, and it would be everything from like The Hobbit all the way to like Justice League or something.
Right.
That hasn't happened since like 2018. The other heavy hitter obviously is Marvel, and with the lack of those two guys, you and I and Colin have been talking. We're sort of struggling to figure out like what are those really must see moments and panels, and this kind of feels like it's at the top of the list. If you want to see something special, if you want to be a part of San Diego Comic-Con sort of magic and history, you want to see George on that stage in Hall H, with everybody screaming and hollering and just kind of hearing him talk. He's going to probably spend 10 minutes just talking about how appreciative he is for his career and the fans and all that he's been able to do. And that's just, it's going to warm everybody's hearts. There's not going to be a dry eye in that room. I promise you that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree with that. Because of like, I mean, like I was gonna say he has not been like in a big audience like that since Star Celebration 2017, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, David, but yeah, it has been a while since he's been in front of a big audience in person.
If anybody,
I have to say 2017.
If anybody's wondering, the fourth person in our stream is the chosen one himself, Hayden. There you go. There you go. Adorable. And I don't know if we've ever mentioned it on this show because we rarely do streams now. But congrats again to Daddy Colin.
Thank
Living
you.
the dream, man. Join the club. It's awesome.
Yes. It has been a journey. And he actually turns 2 months on Friday. So
there you go. There you go.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Doing the whole month thing, that was a weird. It's so normal when you're a new parent and you're talking about months to people when they ask you how old your kid is. It's like, oh, they're 11 months, or oh, they're 50 weeks, something like that. 30 weeks old. But yeah, and then afterwards, it's like, why did I ever do that? But yeah,
yeah, that's always kind of odd. But yeah, I have a 252-month-old.
Okay, so the other really big panel that I wanted to call out is another rare appearance. Legendary Ghostbuster, SNL alum, also one half founder of the Blues Brothers, Dan the Man Aykroyd, is going to. I don't know when he's ever been at Comic-Con before. He's not been since I've been going, and I've been going for 10 years. So, unless I got that wrong, Dan Aykroyd is appearing at San Diego Comic-Con, and as soon as I heard that, I thought it was a lie. I thought somebody was playing a sick joke on me, and I'm just so thrilled. And he's gonna have another just like rare, can't miss panel. And so what is Dan doing? Let's talk about it. Dan is celebrating the 45th anniversary of the first ever Blues Brothers film, and then he's also got this graphic novel coming out. That's sort of a new story in the saga. The writers are the son of Judy Belushi, Luke Pisano, James Warner, Stella Aykroyd, who's actually the daughter of Dan Aykroyd, and then um, Dan Dan's also contributed to the graphic novel as well. I don't think he's written a lot of it. It says the forward is by Dan, so he's just probably contributed a little bit to it. And then they're going to be joined by the editor in chief, Rance Hosley, as well as president of the publishing company, Josh Bernstein. So that's going to be Thursday, July 24th, starting at
Wow.
4:15, and yeah, it's going to be absolutely wild to see Dan potentially, right? Potentially see Dan at San Diego Comic Con.
So,
I
have you met all the ghosts? Like, have you met all of the original Ghostbuster cast except one of them? I mean, for you know,
Yeah, never met Harold.
yeah,
Bill I've met twice.
yep.
Once at a his one of his concerts in Austin, and then another time at a party that he was at in Austin that he threw. It was a Bill Murray party. Can't believe I said that. And Dan, I've never met. He was at a superhero Comic Con show performing, and I had a family engagement that night, but I was told it was epic because it was Dan doing his Blues Brothers show with
Oh man,
John's brother Jim Belushi. So it was Dan and Jim, and I think Jim did most of the singing. He's a little bit younger than Dan, I think. And I was told that it was just an epic show. Everybody in the crowd loved it, and I so wanted to be there. But it's just another one of those things. I keep telling folks the events that we have in San Antonio are unlike anything else that you've been a part of, and they
you
do
guys
stuff
are
like that.
all. Yeah, I was gonna say you guys are always doing something. I feel like it's like every single weekend, the Countdown City Geek chat is blowing up with something going on, and I'm like, I'm up. I'm up north in the mitten, and I'm like, man, I wish we were doing stuff like that all the time.
Well, I
Yeah.
do have a lot of friends in the Michigan area, and they're always doing like small events, and the Ghostbusters in Michigan are very active. And
Yes, yes, they are.
one of my buddies up there, Bob Anderson, he's actually doing a ton of stuff with his school supply drive, which is a nationwide campaign that we're also a part of here in San Antonio. But Bob up in Michigan's got like 20 drop off locations for school supplies. This man is a juggernaut, and whatever he collects at the end of his collection period, it's going to probably set like crazy records or something within the Ghostbuster community because he just he everybody wants to help out and he can rally folks and stuff. And so shout out to Bob. But back to Dan. I don't know when the last time he's been here. He's such a character whenever I see him at events or red carpets, and I just can't wait to see what it's all about, really. And yeah, I'm gonna be thrilled to see it and hear from him. And who knows what happens around that panel? What happens before or after, or what he does? If it's, I'm really hoping because Dave and I. No, Dave, were you in the pit? You were in the pit for the Keanu Reeves panel last year, the
Yes.
Berserker panel. That's right. You were in the press area, and Dave remembers Keanu Reeves announces to the crowd in Hall H that a limited number of signed graphic novels will be sold at his booth for the publisher for his comic.
Well,
And I was like, limited? Oh, okay. There's 5,000 people in that room, right? So I'm like already getting out of my chair. I'm trying not to like get in, make sure no one notices me. And thank goodness, not Rob Liefeld. Who's the one that created Spawn?
Todd McFarlane.
Todd, yeah, Todd McFarlane comes out on stage to give Keanu a custom prototype of a Berserker action figure, and I'm like, this is my chance. Everybody's focused on Todd and Keanu, so I got out of my chair. I started walking like I was going to the bathroom, and then I hit that exit, boom, and I went straight. I made a beeline to that booth. I was the first one there, and there was a line of people right behind me. So got my Keanu Reeves graphic novel. Last year was absolutely insane. So I bring that up to say I wouldn't put it past the publishers to have a signing for the book, or just to have a limited number of signed copies, either from Dan or the writers. Just because it's San Diego, you go big or you don't bother showing up at all. So I'm hoping for it. Whew. Stoked.
There was a lot of passion there.
I'm stoked. I know
And
there's
you
a
have every
bunch
right to
of
be, man.
I know there's a bunch of panels. I think one that the three of us have talked about a lot, and I think it's gonna be kind of the big must see. Do I have my picture? Where's my picture? Stand by. I think it's gonna be the must see panel of the event. I'm talking about Alien Earth. And I put these posters together because they were released in a very specific order, right? Facehugger was first, then you had sort of the egg opening, and then you had the Earth and the egg, and then you had the xenomorph on the last one. So it's really cool. But the Alien Earth panel is going to be taking place. I want to say it was.
I've got my schedule in front of me. Hang on.
It's right here. Oh, Friday. So the world premiere and the Q&A are Friday at 1:25 p.m. in Hall H, followed by an autograph signing. For folks who've never been to San Diego and they've always asked me like, how do you go to the Hall H and go to the signing? You don't. You can pick one. There's no way of making it to both.
That
There's
makes
a
sense.
line to get into Hall H, and if you're lucky enough to get in, there's a separate line for that signing, or they've given out a limited number of tickets to either random people or people who won them in some sort of activity. It's happened with me before. One year, my son won a Walking Dead cast signing out of a game that we played, and we ended up getting like 12 or 10 cast members autographs. But so if you're thinking about going to either the premiere or the signing, I suggest you really just pick one of those things and try and make it happen, because you won't have enough time to get from one place to another to make that work out. So
I'm
there
learning
you
a
go.
lot. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah. Early on, I kind of, anytime anybody asks me, I'm going for the first time, and I'll see comments online, I'm going for the first time, what do I do? And I say, if you really want to do like some really interesting things or get into some really rare like activations, because the activations can be also challenging to get into, or panels, pick like 2 or 3 and just go all in on those. If you don't need those, then you can just do whatever you want, and you'll live a stress-free life at San Diego. And I don't know what that feels like, but I imagine it's wonderful. But I'm excited for this one. Dave, I know you are too, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, we did this. We did an Alien Earth activation here in Austin for South by Southwest.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Hopefully, it's going to be something a little bit more elaborate, a little bit more different. I know we've gotten some recent posters for some characters.
We had a bunch of swag from that activation too.
Yeah, and we got. I have some of it next to me actually, but yeah, we got to find out a little bit more about the actual series on FX. And yeah, the trailers look great. This is Noah Hawley. He's legit. He's very talented. Um, I'm glad they got someone like him to kind of head all this up. So, in him I trust, and it looks great. The Alien Predator franchises, they look like they're in really good hands here. So, I think we're in for some nice surprises, hopefully at Hall H. And yeah, like
Yeah.
Ted said, we can't get the autographs if we're in Hall H and we see them in person and see the panel, which should be really cool.
Yeah.
Be nice if they brought like a xenomorph on stage. That would be kind of cool because they brought the face huggers last year for Alien Romulus. So
Doing a xenomorph costume though, dude, is very. It's a challenging thing. I've seen people attempt it, but you know, if someone was gonna do it, it would be like the official people logo, like to make it
yeah,
as realistic as possible.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's super funny that you. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Don't show Hayden.
I think he's asleep.
He is asleep. He's like passed out. Yeah. No, so it's funny that you mentioned Walking Dead because the season 3 Daryl Dixon show is
Yeah.
going to be in Hall H, and I still can't believe that the Walking Dead is still going on. That's just crazy to me because of after the whole like saga with with Negan. I thought, boom, that was it. They were going to end the show, but they just kept going. And then Rick died, but he didn't die. And then, you know, at the end of the actual official Walking Minute, spoilers if you haven't watched Walking Dead, but it's it's crazy to see that the show is still going. It's absolutely insane. And with Daryl Dixon too, I believe he actually wasn't a character that was in the comics.
Right, he wasn't.
You're right.
Yeah, so it's insane that now he's got his own TV show and like he's a huge fan favorite. So yeah.
Yeah, and he was there last year, and he started signing autographs for people. Ted was in the thick of it, and Ted was just like, "Oh my God, this is not good," because everyone rushed the stage. He started signing. Security came out, and they were trying to rip him away, but he just kept on signing, and
That's funny.
it was getting kind of scary there. I think they made an announcement saying, "Do not rush the stage, whatever you do, because all of Hall H will have to be shut down if you break those barriers and make the stage unsafe."
That's fair.
It was him and oh my gosh,
The
what's her
actress who
name?
played Carol?
No, Lauren Cohen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was signing stuff too.
They were on stage, and it's not. It might not be their fault because I think they were Transformers 1, the panel with Chris Hemsworth. They were the first ones last year to start signing things from people in the crowd, which is
Oh.
not really permitted. Okay, it's not permitted, but like if you can get a few in and get the hell out, then it's okay.
Yeah.
But Norman Reedus and Lauren, they were like signing, and Dave's right. I was like kind of in the front in the crowd, and people were like bunching up behind me.
Did
After
you
like
look at me? You looked at me and started shaking your head. You're like, no.
Oh,
and
geez.
I did that because Dave saw it. Like these panels, like they have them scheduled, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of time in between. You got maybe 12, 15 minutes tops between panels. And so if the first one runs a little late, the second one runs a little late, you're already bumping into the next ones. And some of these panels, this is how it works, because this is unlike any other convention. That's why San Diego is not a convention. A lot of these stars and actors and cast members and all that, they are probably landing an hour before their panel. They're
Yeah.
landing, they're going straight to Hall H, they're getting on stage From there, they go straight to their signings right afterwards, which is in the next, right next door is the expo hall, but they have to get to that area, and that takes some time. So the panel is about an hour, their signing is about an hour. They're probably meeting with Variety. They're probably meeting with Vanity Fair because they all have suites and they all have their reserved locations around San Diego. And then once those are done, everybody's out. They're back on a plane and they're gone. Like, this is not your typical convention. It's the only way to have all these stars in attendance is with the little free time they actually have. So when I say these panels, if they start running late, it's a big issue. It's a really big issue because they have so many things timed on their schedule. They have an itinerary that's stacked. Every minute is planned out.
Yeah, it's like
So
the military.
it is. And I looked at Dave because like after like 2 or 3 minutes, I was like, ooh, we're really like pushing it here. And they weren't leaving. Like Norman he was ignoring the staff and the security. And I'm not saying that to bash the guy. I think he's a hero for doing what he was doing, but he just didn't care. And Lauren was signing away. And I'm like, I was getting nervous. I'm like, what? I don't know what happens if we start getting into this territory because I've never seen stars spend so much time signing when they know there's no time for this. And it's nothing to do with the fans, it's nothing to do with rules or stuff like that. It's just there's no time. There's so many things that have to get done and this schedule is so tight. So yeah, they signed for a good maybe 10 minutes after their panel was over, and I was getting
Wow.
so nervous. And this is how bad it was. After that, anybody in sort of the front section of Hall H, there's three big sections. There's maybe 20 to 25 rows in that section. They place security at the front of those sections. And if you wanted to go sit down in your chair, let's say you went to the bathroom, you went back to your chair, you got stopped and like, do you have a seat already there? And you would be like, yes, I do. I'm sorry. And then they would let you pass. If you didn't have a chair, you weren't allowed to pass them. And so, yeah, they beefed up security after that sort of kind of a fiasco and stuff. But yeah, it's very rare. It never happens. Whew. Good times
Yeah,
though.
I'm not sure I told you this, but when the Alien Romulus panel was about to start, there was a lot more organization because, of course, they did the guy that came up with the chest burster, and they had the actual like rolling face huggers on the ground, and I guess they were from the film itself. So they had like people with headsets, and I was trying to take a picture with the guy that does the announcements between the panels, and he was talking. I didn't realize he was talking to a 20th Century Fox rep, and that dude like looked at me and he gave me like the death stare, and I was like, "Oh, I'll come back later." Because I mean, they had to organize the giveaways and the props that they brought up and all that stuff. So
Yeah, it's a lot, man. And you see like how many moving parts there are.
yeah,
And there's so many different individuals involved. There's so many different companies involved. You and I were talking about. Sorry, duty calls. Yeah, we're talking about there's so many different companies sort of working, like sub companies working this event. We're dealing with a major studio for an event, and I'm getting an email from somebody else, and they're like, "Hey, what about this?" And I'm like, "Why are you guys not talking? Like, why are you guys not figuring this out? Like, who's doing what?" There's just so many groups and individuals and agencies involved with all the planning and stuff. It's really remarkable how they make it work every year, just because of all the moving pieces. But they somehow make it work. It is the biggest event of its kind in the world, and somehow they always seem to make it work, which is a miracle in itself. But they've also had a long time to perfect it.
mm-hmm.
And so they're really the only ones that can handle this level of crowds and attendance, and making it almost feel seamless how well it's ran. And I know that's not for everybody. You know, there are some things that do fall into the cracks. There are some things that do need more attention. So it's not always like 100% perfect, but I think for the most part, we're talking about over 200,000 people who attend every year, and majority of those folks have a good experience. And Dave's only been once, and I think he had a better experience than anybody last year.
Jeez. It's incredible last year, Ted. I don't know if anything I do in my life is gonna top that. there's so many experiences, man. So many celebrities, so many close contact with major stars. Like there were so many that I just can't remember them all. Today I was thinking about, okay, I saw Rebecca Romaine walk right in front of me too. Did I high five her? Did I shake her hand? I can't remember.
You briefly passed out when she did that.
Yeah, I mean, she's still incredible, man. And then she's gonna be in Doomsday. She's still not done with X-Men. So, yeah, it's like we didn't even know at that time, and she's still a huge factor in Marvel. Incredible.
Yeah, it's
wild time.
What's really exciting for me is that this has been on my nerd bucket list since I was a kid.
Yeah, it's like Nerd Super Bowl.
Yeah,
you can't get any higher than this. This is the top.
It is,
dude. I remember for like a couple of years straight when Conan O'Brien would be hosting like his show over at San Diego.
I used to love watching those, man.
And I loved watching those. And I loved seeing, different people's perspectives of actually going to the con and stuff like that. And I told myself one day, one day, Colin, you will go there.
One day.
You will figure it out. You will be there. And I'm just so grateful and so excited to be going and to be part of this team and doing this. So I'm ready. I'm ready for this. Yeah.
I told Colin earlier, not to give away what we talk about, but I'm like, man, for the first time, and I've said this to a few people, I'm like, if you're going for the first time, I think the best thing to do is figure it out, not try and do too much. I told Colin, I'm like, I look 60% of the time, have a blast. 40% of the time, you can worry about assignments and all that stuff. I might have said it differently or higher.
Yeah.
But it's got to be 75% of the time you should be worried about just having a good time because it's your first. The first one you should you really take it all in because it's massive. There's nothing on earth like it. San Diego Comic-Con. And so a few folks that have asked me, I'm like, they're asking for advice. I'm like, look, if it's your first time, just go to have fun. If you try and plan every day, you'll be disappointed because San Diego can be unforgiving if you try and plan every minute of your day out. It's not like Disney World where you can plan out ride after ride after ride. No. It doesn't work like that. So really, spend a good amount of your time seeing things, soaking it all in, doing the activations offsite, just walking around. I told Colin some of my best moments at San Diego are just the random ones. The ones where you see a line, you hear a commotion, you saw a celebrity and you just followed and you saw something cool happen. Dave and I were at a party. We were at a bar. What movie was that?
It was Borderlands, right?
Borderlands, yeah. We were at a Borderlands party.
And they were super cool. Was it
They
Paramount,
loved us.
that studio? Because they were like, hey,
I want to say Universal.
Was it Universal?
I want to say.
Okay, but yeah, they were super great to us.
Yeah, they loved us. They're having a good time, and we're all having a good time. And then when we leave, we left at just the right time because 30 seconds later, the biggest drone show in Marvel or Comic Con
That's
history
right.
happened.
Yep.
And had we spent another 5 minutes in that party, we would have missed every single bit of it. And so it's those just magical coincidences that are the what makes San Diego so special
Yep.
and separated from everything else. It's really awesome.
So excited.
Yeah, man. Colin, anything else that you're like excited to see or hear or do? I know Mosh Eyes on both your guys' heads, right?
Listen, the Think the Maker Pod, crew, and the Dad Batch and all of them are just amazing. And um, my friend Mike Forrester, is so passionate about Star Wars and punk rock and all that stuff, and you just see the passion over at those shows. So if you have the chance to go to Mosh Isley, go. I've been to a couple. This is my first one over at San Diego, and I
Nice.
have heard nothing but great things about the show over at at this convention.
Let's
And
hope the AC
there
is fixed.
what?
I said, let's hope the AC is fixed.
I haven't heard anything about that. I remember
I think it was
David
okay.
FaceTime me like at 3 a.m. in the morning last year, like because of the different time zones. And I just remember like how pumped you guys were, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's go, because of that was like a couple of weeks before Dragon Con, because then they had Match Isley over there, but there were a couple of people that are just finding out that I'm going to San Diego, so some people were reaching out to me and we're just like,
Wow.
wait, you're going? I'm like, yeah, I'm going. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And besides the George Lucas stuff, there is actually some different Star Wars things that's happening there. There will be a small um, Star Wars collectors museum there that will have uh, some different collectors items that have been part of Sand Sweet's.
Oh
Um,
yeah, Ranch Obi-Wan.
Yep. So he's gonna have his thing there, which is really cool, and I think there's gonna be some other props. Ted, I swear you sent an email where there was gonna be like some type of actual prop um opportunity where like they had some of the actual props there. Um,
Yeah, I remember seeing that as well.
yeah.
Prop collector, or I think it might have been an auction. A prop auction is what it was.
Okay, I think that's connected to the thing I'm talking about.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So that looks super, super sick. I'm super excited about that. There's also the stuff that Hasbro is doing. You have some of the Clone Wars actors that will be there. Ashley Eckstein, Matt Lanter, James Arnold Taylor, um, and uh, and there will be a Disney booth there as well. So I, it's it's weird that like the main studios aren't there, but in a way they kind of are, because there is a Tron
Yeah.
panel. There is one for Phineas and Ferb. There is one for Lilo and Stitch. So there is a different variety, but it's just weird that like the big franchises like Marvel and stuff like that aren't there. And I'm kind of aging myself here, but I'm excited about the Avatar the last Airbender show. They are doing the 20th anniversary panel. They're also going to have some people from the Legend of Korra. I'm mainly going because of my wife, because my wife loves that franchise so much. So I'm definitely going for her. And then there's also the Phineas and Ferb panel. I grew up watching that show, so it's so cool that it is having a comeback. And then there's also Percy Jackson as well, and season 2 is coming out. That first season was great. I also love the books, so I'm excited to see what they end up doing with that. And then there's Peacemaker as well, which is super super exciting, and I think we'll talk about Peacemaker here in a second. And then yeah, I think we were talking yesterday of where we were kind of like, here's all the panelists, and I remember I was just going through Thursday, and no joke, it just kept going. Like like I started like at the beginning of the day, and I just kept scrolling, and for 5 minutes, like, I just kept going, and I finally got to like 4:35 still on Thursday, and I was like, holy crap, there's so much going on. So it sounds like I know what to expect, but at the same time I don't, which is kind of exciting because for Star Celebration, I'm so used to like being like, okay, I know exactly what's going on. I know where I need to be. Um, uh, we like have a game plan for the most part, but I'm excited about this because I don't know what's going on
Yeah.
for the most part, and that's going to be real refreshing and yeah, super exciting. I was planning on taking on Chewy, but then it just sounded like they're like of the distance wise and stuff like that was going to be difficult. And then my friend Nate, who does Black Chrysanthemum and Chewy, he's not going. So I was like, oh man, that's a disappointment because we were planning on doing something with him and I, but we are like, okay, that's fine. We'll hopefully save it for the next one. But I will be taking my Narkina 5 prisoner. I'm still thinking about Superman. But yeah, I am so excited for San Diego Comic-Con. And then there's also the think the Maker Crew and the Dad Batch are going to be doing a Family Feud um uh type panel to where like they will be kind of like quizzing each other like in Family Feud.
Oh,
And
very cool.
those guys are great. If you don't follow any of their stuff or don't know who they are, go and check their stuff out. They're just beyond amazing. They're fantastic people. So yeah,
Was
super
Nate
excited, guys.
was Nate there last year? Because I took a photo with.
That picture of Black Chrysanthemum is Nate. Nate
Oh,
is
nice.
yes. So of Nate makes Wookiee masks, and then him and I team up. So he'll send people my way to make the suits, and then I'll send people his way to go and make the masks. So yeah, no, he's fantastic. His suits are probably like the closest to screen accurate that you can possibly get. Like they're amazing.
Oh
So
yeah, his was incredible. I was like, "Whoa, this guy's massive. He's huge." And yeah, it
yeah.
was so deep that it was great. And I bring up the AC thing because at Mosh Isley, it felt like it was probably because it was just jam packed with people, but it felt like there was no airflow anywhere except for this one like table against the wall, and there was a vent there blowing like 0-degree air out of it. And so Dave and I would like stand there and watch people pass by drenching in sweat, and we were just like, wow, we feel bad for all these people who aren't enjoying this cool air coming out of this vent for whatever reason. Yeah, that place was a sauna except for that one spot, and we like held it for like half the event.
Well,
Yeah, no good.
so it's funny that you say that because over in Atlanta where the next Much Isley happened, like after that, that was that one was hot, and I was wearing Chewy for that one because of I was up on stage as Chewy, and that was my first year of actually wearing Chewy because I debuted him that year, and um yeah, those can get pretty hot, but it's so much fun. It's
Yeah.
it's so cool. Like those, I didn't know what to expect in my first Mush Isley, but every time I go, it just keeps getting better and better. And the people that go and it makes the experience more fun when the people that you go with are on the same vibe as you, like for enjoying the music and stuff. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it last year. So that makes me excited to go with you guys this year. Yeah.
I'm like I told Dave this. I enjoyed myself. It was really cool. It was a lot of fun. But also I'm slightly above that generation that like grew up on that music.
Wow.
I'm a few years above that. Like they were playing every now and then they play some Deftones or some like
Yeah.
uh Fall Out Boy or Panic at the Disco. And I'm like, yeah, those were the guys that I heard that
Yeah.
started that movement, and then everybody that came afterwards, I never really heard all that much.
That's
So
fair.
it wasn't bad. I had a good time, and they would play some other stuff too. They played some Queen. You remember that, Dave?
Yep.
Uh,
That is a big. Well, so I know the inside joke to that now, but that's actually a big moment of the show. Yeah, no, it's oh man, it's so cool. Nate's not going to be there this year, so that's going to be interesting. But
boo.
yeah.
We'll kind of wrap up the San Diego stuff. We've talked a lot about it. You know, our kind of big panels that we're looking at. I'll just say our coverage is going to be a lot like last year. Any and all things really San Diego. Um, if you've never been, it's sort of a way for folks to really get an understanding of what goes on. We were running around everywhere last year. It was a lot of work, and it also kind of all just magically worked out. I'm not like seriously, like everything we wanted to do, we kind of planned out some stuff, and everything we wanted to do worked out. And it's rare that that happens. And so I don't know if we can replicate that last year, but we'll definitely try. It was a good time. We had a blast, and this year we're aiming to do the same. Last thing I'll mention is if you are attending, be sure to check out the King of the Hill activation on the lawn of the convention center. It's going to be a blast. They have an entire town built really for King of the Hill. Check that out.
Oh shoot. Oh man, yeah. Okay, I didn't know that. Wow, that's crazy.
These are
Cornhole.
these are just the
Yeah.
renderings. If anybody wants to throw down a cornhole, I will absolutely murder you.
Oh, dude, I'm from Michigan. You going down?
I'm my office's cornhole champion.
Oh, okay.
All
All right.
right.
So
Where's
it's
where's
just
your championship belt? Do you got the belt to prove it?
It's in a box somewhere.
does your office just contain you? Like, is it just you in the office?
At home office, Colin. The actual
All right.
Like,
We're gonna switch gears here and talk about an event happening in our hometown, SpaceCon San Antonio, which is going down this October, and which is always a massive event, and we've had a blast. Last year was the inaugural SpaceCon San Antonio, and we were a part of it. Our team hosts the majority of the panels at SpaceCon, and then this year they've been making all kinds of announcements about who's going to be in attendance, and there's some huge names that are going. Kristen Ritter's been announced. Brie Larson has been announced.
Elizabeth Olsen.
Elizabeth Olsen's been announced. And then I'm going to let Dave go ahead and take it away on this individual who just got announced a few days ago. So, David, if you will.
So yeah, it looks like we have a big time Star Wars celebrity. He's been a part of every single film trilogy, the originals, the prequels, and the sequels. It's none other than Ian McDiarmid.
yes, I am listening to it. Sorry, I had to.
Which, yeah, his story is an incredible story. He joined Star Wars and the Return of the Jedi, and he was 33 years old then. But of course, he played an older-looking character, and he kind of aged into his role when it came time to shoot Episode 1. And
Yeah.
of course, kind of carried the through line through the prequels, and of course, he appeared in The Rise of Skywalker in the sequel trilogy. And he's a pretty cool guy. He's pretty laid back. He is English. One cool story is we did Star Wars Celebration back in 2022 in Anaheim. They did a Star Wars night.
No,
He showed up in the park, and people realized he was there with his family, and people gave him a standing ovation. And he just went there to have some quick drinks. And when he was leaving, people gave him another kind of like clapping, standing ovation. He got to the exit, and he stopped, and he turned around to us, and he went, ah! And then he left. He walked out. It was so cool. I'll never forget that. So yeah, he is a real cool guy to talk to. And as reported, this is his second to last convention, apparently, that he has promised. So he's going to do this convention, and then he's going to do Star Wars Celebration in Los Angeles in 2027. So this might be his very last time in Texas and second to last convention ever. So yeah, he is getting up there in age. He's still a pretty young guy. I mean, he still seems pretty spry and everything, but I think he's done a lot of conventions in his time, and he might just be hanging it up because he's just going to retire from the convention circuit. So I would suggest if you want his autograph photo op, you get it, because this might be the last time.
No,
I completely agree, and yeah, the promoter of the event was saying, this was going to be one of the last opportunities to see him, and his autographs and photo ops are on sale as of today. So if you're watching this right now and you really want to meet him, do not wait, because he's coming, even more people that were not planning on attending are going to be attending now. Like, this is just elevated what was already going to be a packed event, a massive event, to even a bigger one, because like Dave mentioned, everyone understands the sort of rare occasion that this is. And plus, I mean, this convention, even though the names are big, it still feels like a very intimate, small convention. It's a big convention title with a very small type feel. You get a lot of one-on-one time. The photo ops are generally great compared to like what people look for when they do photo ops. It's not just like pushing and shoving, getting people out of the way. The panels are great. I don't mean to toot our own horn, but we moderate most of the panels here in San Antonio at the event, and when we do that, we do it with the thought in mind of what do people want to get out of a panel experience. I say this and I'll say it again. The blueprint is San Diego. The blueprint is Hall H. When I moderate a panel, when I'm talking to one of our guys who's moderating a panel, I say Hall H is a blueprint. You want to match that energy. You want to match the crowd engagement. You want to match the intensity and everything else that comes with a Hall H panel. And I will never be as good as any of those moderators. We're talking about Chris Hardwick. We're talking about Kevin Smith, Queen Latifah. I'll never be on that level, but
I don't know, Ted. You go into a zone.
I'll never be on that level. I'm willing
to. You do get into the pocket, Ted.
You did so well with everyone that you did, but to me, it was the Hayden and Rosario panel that you moderated, because you did talk about Star Wars, but I think what really impressed them was that you jumped into their other projects, and I think that excited them, especially Hayden. When like you talked about Jumper, I saw the excitement on his face. He was just like, oh yeah, let's talk about Jumper. So yeah, you like, that was really, really cool to see, because like you were, really, you were jumping into, something that they knew, what they talk about all the time is Star Wars, but it was really cool that you were jumping into their other projects and deep cut stuff. Like that's what you did with Josh Brolin as well. So like you know what you're doing, sir. Do not cut yourself short. You know what you're doing. You're fantastic at what you're doing.
I agree, and I want to say, Ted, you managed and juggled. You managed and juggled everything to like a perfect degree, to where it wasn't too much this, too much that, too much of like Jumper and everything else. Yeah. It was just the right amount. There was like viral moments in there. And I was like,
Ted, you were just a handsome guy.
I look at that and I'm like, I can't do that. I was like, that's Ted's thing. I never do want to try and compete with that because I don't know if I could do that. I mean,
I
but it's like every
I would
time
love
though,
to get
Ted.
in
It's
one
like
day,
it's never a time where like you're up there and I'm like, oh, this might not be good. It's always really good. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I think you're like cut out for that.
I think now that I number one, I appreciate the kind words. Number two, now that Dave has seen what goes on at Hall H and Colin's gonna see what goes on at Hall H, you'll understand what the goals are. And we'll probably get you gentlemen on a panel stage one of these days. I'm gonna make it my mission to get both Dave and Colin to do a panel in the near
That would be a
future.
lot of fun.
I don't know when, but
Yeah.
I will make it happen. I
would
can't wait
love
for
that.
the day where I don't have to like prep for a panel and it's just like everybody on the team is doing panels and I just get to like enjoy myself and not get all stressed out. You know what? I've already mentioned this to you guys. I don't know if I've told it on the show before. The hardest part of that Hayden Christensen Rosario Dawson panel was Rosario like touching my shoulder or like my leg
I was like, is he gonna say this?
or rubbing my
All
back.
of us, when that happened, Ted, all of us were like sitting there like your cheerleaders because we all were just like sitting on the side and we all were just like, yeah.
I really just wanted to
so
stop the
funny.
panel and be like, "Do you know who you are? Stop touching me." It's hard enough to think sitting next to you, looking as flawless as you do, but the rubbing of the back isn't helping. It's not. You're clearly like knowing what's happening at the moment. You're like, "She touched me. She did it again." But anyways, Ian McDermott. Yeah. So his autographs are going to be 160 each, premium autographs 180 each, and his solo photo ops are 150 each. I say those are very fair prices for it being Ian.
Yeah.
I would like to add, and yeah, one of the last chances you might have, and he'll only be there the 25th and the 26th. That's Saturday and Sunday at the SpaceCon San Antonio, and I'm gonna say it, but I don't know who it is, so do not try and ask me. The promoter of the event has already acknowledged or revealed that they will have Ian do a duo photo op with another character in the original Star Wars trilogy. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be Harrison Ford. That would be a miracle. That
would be an interesting photo op. I'm not gonna lie to you because those characters never met. But yeah.
I have no idea who it's gonna be, but it's somebody in the OG trilogy, and so fans are going to absolutely love being a part of that photo op, whoever it might be. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know if Mark is a possibility. I'm not going to rule it out. Anthony Daniels, possibility. Who else? Who could it possibly be from the OG trilogy?
Yeah. I was going to say, because if they, correct me if I'm wrong, but, or did they retract it? Was the Chosen One confirmed or no?
You're talking about Hayden?
Yeah.
He's confirmed for next year.
Okay. For next year, not this year. Okay.
Right.
Wow. That far in advance. That's crazy.
Yeah, he will be in attendance next summer.
Okay.
And I think they confirmed. Did they confirm Obi-Wan as well?
Yeah, Ewan and Hayden for June
2026.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a busy year. Jeez.
It'll be a busy summer, right? Because it'll be June with those guys, and then July.
You're gonna get the Mando Grogu movie right before that.
That is a big Star Wars year. Yeah, there's a lot of Star Wars going on next year.
And when is Celebrations in April?
No, that's in 2027.
2027.
That would
thank
be
God.
nuts. Yeah. That's a whole other thing. I'll have my droid done by then. I'll see you. Then bring my droid. So
Yeah,
much
I
stuff going
don't
on.
know. I mean, who could it be? I mean, I'm thinking
Dude.
maybe Mark Hamill. I mean, that's the
Mark
only
Hamill
other
would make the
person.
most sense,
Yeah.
like for that duo, just because the Emperor didn't really have any other real. I mean, because like yeah, people would pay to do like a duo photo op with
Well, you know
Anthony Daniels
what?
and Ian, but
Just popped into my head.
Uh-oh.
There's a great opportunity here to have grandfather and granddaughter.
oh yeah,
That would be very unique.
John Boyega's out there. You know, he's doing conventions and stuff. Daisy Ridley, come on, let's go. Get out there. Fans want to meet you. Go. Because of she really doesn't do conventions, right?
I don't think she has the time.
Well, I
No.
mean, she's done the Star Wars Celebration stuff, but I don't think she's ever signed or photo
No.
opt. But that would be a huge draw.
Yeah. It would be.
So
It-
that is the big announcement from SpaceCon. I want to say, other than the Star Wars announcement, I want to say they're still working on at least one more Marvel announcement as well.
Howard the
And
Duck.
they'll-
Seth Green, let's go.
That's great.
So it's already a massive event. Haley Steinfeld's going to be there.
Yeah.
Huge event. The cast
I
of
just watched
Daredevil,
Sinners for the first time.
so good.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh, yeah. Did you know that Ryan Coogler borrowed most of the 1930s costumes over from
Yeah.
Marvel because the Blade movie? Yeah. So I was watching it and I was like, if they took out some of the singing in this movie, this totally could have been a Blade movie. Like totally could have been like a Blade origin story in some way. But yeah, no, this is cool. I enjoyed it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're totally fine. All right. So kind of the last thing to bring up because I've already talked to Dave about it. Colin, I haven't talked to you about it, so we can kind of make it quick and short here. Superman dropped
Yes.
last week, and we've all seen it now. Hopefully, you folks at home have seen it or have had an opportunity to check it out. If you haven't, I'm you're not gonna get spoiled by us. You've been spoiled by the rest of social media already. I've seen everything out there online, so don't get mad at us if when you drop something that you haven't heard yet. But Colin, you're first, man. I want to hear you tell us what you thought about Superman.
Um, it was a comic book page ripped out of, a comic book and put into a movie. It was um, to me, it was like a very comic book accurate film. Not saying past Superman films were not, but this one was definitely, a very, kind of cartoony take of Superman, which is classic Superman because he came straight from the comics. And I know you both are big fans of Henry Cavill, so am I. But the thing with the Snyderverse was that every single hero in that universe had the same tone. It was a very dark tone for the most part for all those characters. So with this, to me, David Cornsweet was a great choice because of he really understood what the vision that James Gunn was trying to do. And people are comparing it to Guardians. People are saying it's too funny when it shouldn't be. And it's like, guys, this is Superman. Superman in the comics was that person in battle that would, save some cute animal in kind of do a side mission, save it, and then get back to the battle. In the movie, he saves a squirrel almost getting, stomped on by a giant monster. That's classic Superman. And there's also a line in there which to me, I was like, that is Superman. to me. And the line, is I don't know it quote by quote, but it's the one where um where Lex is screaming at him at the end, and he's just like, it's because you're an alien, and then he's like, that's where you're wrong, Lex. I am more human than anything. I I I wake up having the fear. It was that speech, and I was just like, boom, this is it. That is that is Superman, because yes, he's an alien, but he's more human than alien. And I just loved that of the portrayal. And I was critical of how they were going to do crypto at first, because that was just adding more of, like, kind of like the cartoony type vibe, which again I had no problem with. But if you're doing crypto, how are you going to do it? And I think they did it in a really great way, and the payoff was great, because it was hinted at that crypto and Superman didn't have the they had chemistry, but not the best chemistry. and
Yeah,
and and
yeah.
then at the end, it's just like, oh, that makes sense. And it definitely makes me excited to see where the future of DC is going. And the next project that we're getting um is season 2 of Peacemaker, and they
Yeah.
are going to make it make sense. I don't know if you saw the new teaser, but they did hint, and David and I did talk about this earlier. They did hint at, on how they are going to make everything make sense of the transition over from the Snyderverse over to the new DCU. And
Interesting.
yes, because it sounds like Peacemaker is going to pull a he's gonna pull a Deadpool in a way, where, like, that's what it sounds like, where, like, because he's gonna meet a different version of himself from a different universe.
Keep going.
And then yeah, so um and they're also gonna have Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl from the Superman movie. They will be in this show in some capacity, including Sean Gunn's character as well, which we briefly saw in the Superman film. Yeah, I am excited to see where the future of DC goes. We got Green Lantern, which I'm super excited about that show. We got uh we have Supergirl, which I'm also excited about, which that comes out next year. So overall, I think this is a really great setup. The I think my only thing was the plot twist with his parents. Um,
Yes.
that was a big twist, because they didn't even talk about it like at the end anymore. They that was a big plot of it, but they didn't continue off of it. So I'm curious on how that's gonna affect the DCU going forward. And not only that, how is that going to affect Supergirl's story? Because Supergirl is from the same planet. Did her parents have the same, kind of thought process? Like, you know, where does she align? Because they're cousins and stuff like that. So I'm just curious of what her place and what her parents were like. Um, but yeah, no, I thought this was a great setup. That there were some moments in there that were um, kind of cartoony, but other than that, yeah, yeah,
I told Dave the
I
same
gave
thing
it A++.
earlier today, that
Yeah,
the Jor-El sort of, you call it a twist. Yeah, I guess it is a twist, right? The Jor-El twist, or the revelation, like, it's kind of a bold decision on the part
yeah,
of James Gunn, because in no other iteration that I've known of, comics, cinema, animation, TV, live action TV, has Jor-El or a member of the House of El been sort of like that, like had that directive for Kal-El. Even in the Superman and Lois TV show, the mother was mostly the AI on Earth, and she was always supportive, and he'd go to her for guidance and stuff like that. So there's never really been that I can think of a time where that decision's been made for the House of L to have sent their son to Earth in order to conquer it.
Yeah.
It's almost like I mean, what if this was a multiverse, he would have conquered Earth, and maybe he would have been like Red Sun Superman. You could have easily
Yeah.
just gone with that story. Not for this one, but I'm saying like in a multiverse now, House L could actually be the reason why Superman conquers Earth in that sort of in that situation.
Yeah, I think the other thing too about that plot twist was that James Gunn, is thinking of the future, because I think that we'll come back to this, and it will, they will come back and they'll elaborate on it more in future stories. And I think he just wanted to kind of put like this, he wanted to plant the seeds, and he wanted to see how the audience would take it. And then I think for future projects, I think we'll go from there. I don't think this is the last that we'll hear of it. There might be another plot twist to where, we find out maybe, Lex and them were lying, or something, got messed up in translation, or just something like that. But I think it was an interesting plot twist. Um,
I think it's two
and
things.
yeah,
I think it's yeah, I do agree with you, Ted. It was like a big change, but it was kind of necessary for James Gunn to kind of crack the code of Superman, because for a long time, I mean I've been following James Gunn for a long time, since Guardians of the Galaxy, which isn't as long as some people, but people were bringing up Superman to him. How about you? Do you have an idea for Superman? He would always say, "No, I don't know how to write for that character," and he would say it over and over and over. And then he did Brightburn, which was like the reverse of Superman. He didn't direct it,
Pretty
but
much.
he helped with it. Yeah, and it was like an evil Superman, an evil origin story of a kid found and turns evil. But um, he really kind of concentrates on like family and like fathers and sons, a lot like Star Wars does. And of course, you remember in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where Yondu was like, "I might not be your father, but I'm your daddy," or whatever whatever the line was. Um, and yeah, it's the same thing here. I mean, it's found family, just like Star Wars, and Ma and Pa Kent. I mean, they've been established since the very beginning, and those are the people that raised him. So it kind of goes back to whoever kind of raised you; those are like your real like parents, even if it's not biological. I mean,
yeah,
and I think that's kind of the moral of the story, and I think it's a good one, because there's a lot of situations here in reality where people are raised by people that aren't their biological parents, but I mean they're still their parents because they raised them and they love them and they took care of them, and that's what I think that they were trying to. James Gunn was really trying to emphasize.
the other thing too is the stuff with, you know that moment that Clark has with John Kent, his dad.
Yeah,
That was a moment for me, you know, as a new dad, because of now as a dad, I'm looking at, I'm looking at films different now that have those parent dynamics and stuff like that. And that moment just kind of hit me, of that father son moment. And I think James Gunn really, nailed the writing on that, of that line of where of John Kent's like, your choices, your actions, those events is what makes you you. And we as parents, you know give you the tools to make you, look like a fool. But at the end of the day, your choices and your actions. So it's just like that. That was like, oh man, yeah, he's right, and it's just so yeah, no, the entire writing of that was just fantastic. So
Yeah, it's over for you, man. Now that you're a dad, any movie with a kid, it's a whole nother
hmm
level of engagement emotionally with the film. I watched Thor: Love and Thunder, and I was like trying to compose myself because the entire movie is about Christian Bale's character, pretty much trying to save his daughter. I think that was a
yeah,
plot.
Yeah.
It
yeah,
was so long ago, and my daughter was around that same age as his, or maybe a little bit younger, and it hit me, and everybody hated the movie, but I'm just like, for me, it worked on a different level because I have that experience, and I have my own daughter, and so yeah, movies now are not the same, not at all, by any
I
means
know,
whatsoever.
no,
Yeah.
And
yeah,
You-
earlier it popped in my head Renee Russo as Thor's mom in Endgame, how he went back and he met her like kind of like for the
yeah,
last time, but she knew what was up. You know, she was like, "You can't fool me. I was raised by witches." It's like, oh man, it's
yeah.
like, how does she know? She knows it's like every parent, they know when the kid doesn't think they know about whatever's going on. So I thought about that.
I'm gonna
yeah,
preface, and I've already mentioned this before, but I'm gonna preface first by saying that I did like the movie. I rated it a 7 out of 10, and I'm gonna stand by that. But there are some things that really sort of I had some struggle with kind of getting past, and one of them was the pacing of the movie. We don't have a chance to like really soak anything in, or like take a breather. It feels like we start off with Soup's getting his butt kicked, and from that point forward, we were just like going 60 miles an hour through the movie.
When we finally got to
And
Kansas, that was the breather.
yeah, that was the breather, like two
yeah,
thirds of the way through the movie, and it just felt like we need to learn what this universe is. We need to learn what this world is with Superman and all these metahumans. And it took a long time, not a long time. The second viewing is a lot easier because now you're familiar with everyone and
Right.
everything. And so the second viewing is like, oh, okay, now I can really enjoy and really process everything. But that first showing was like intense,
Drinking from
keeping up
the
with it.
fire hose.
I love the humor. I think James, on a emotional level, did not reach the same beats as like his Guardian films, which is not a knock on that, because
no,
what he achieves on an emotional level, no other director can do as easy. James is just the master of it. And so I think like I was a little bit emotionally invested in some parts of it, but not as much as I am with like the rest of his movies, especially like Guardians 3. Are you kidding me? Like you had me
yeah,
you had me going nuts over CG rabbits, and like it was crazy, man. So I didn't have the same emotional investment in this one as I have his other projects, which again, it's not a huge deal breaker. I still rated it a 7. I still liked it and enjoyed it. Um as far as like the Jor-El thing, the revelation, I mean, Jor-El is the plot twist is so, or that subplot is there so that Lex has some leverage on turning humanity against him. And
yes,
maybe you could have just done that with something different, claiming his Fortress of Solitude is a military base filled with weapons of mass destruction, or he creates these robots that
yeah,
are something like, I
I
feel
disagree though, Ted. I mean, that's to me the weapons of mass destruction. That's kind of played out, but I just like what James Gunn did. I mean, to
it's
me, it
fine.
works. It totally works.
It's I,
so
I
the
don't
thing
think it's
with
going to be brought up again. Can I say that? I don't think it's going to matter anymore. Like it's
and
it's
I think
happened, and I
that's a
think it's
mistake
done.
though, because this is a huge origin, like, change for Superman. This is a
Yeah, but
big
what does
thing to
Jor-El
do.
have to do with the future of anything? You know,
Well, so So
You just
okay,
it's
so
kind of a throwaway type thing.
Superman, no joke. He based off his entire life mission to do good and all of it based on that message of the original message of that first part of the message of what his parents said. And then he found out that the second part was, for him to, you know, not be a good person. And it's that is a defining moment. That is a big deal. And I think that's something they can't just not talk about anymore. I think they need to um bring that up again because and I don't think they talked about it enough in a way. I was shocked that they didn't go back to it later just because again, the whole point Superman is Superman being good is because of that first part of the message. So the fact that, you bring on this huge change to this classic character, it is a big deal. And if they don't
Was
talk
it
about
because of
it,
the message? I think it's more because of Mom and Pa Kent, because the message from his Kryptonian parents were just "I love you more than heaven and earth," and that's about it. It
no,
wasn't do this, and do this, because that was the part that was lost, right?
they were they somewhere in the first part of the message it says you were sent to like make a difference or something like that. That was the first part of it, but then the rest got cut off of where it's like, you like need to have all these wives and and like take over the world and just all that stuff. So that was like the second part of it. And I just I just think it would be weird if they just didn't go back to it. Honestly, I think the next time that we'll see something part of that, you know, of his family storyline with that was probably gonna be in Supergirl. Um, it just makes sense just because, she is related to him and also her past is tied to him. So she was the last one to like actually see them alive and all that stuff. I mean, technically it was, Superman, but he was a child. He's not he was a baby. He's not gonna remember that.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really interesting to see of where they end up going with that. But yeah.
I think Supergirl is going to be a little bit more straightforward in that her arc is going to be based around the loss of Krypton and her actually being older. Because in the comics, when they leave Krypton, uh, Kal-El is like an infant, and Kara is like maybe in her sort of like early teens or maybe around 9 or 10. Like she's the older one, and in most stories, she's supposed to protect Clark, but lo and behold, she arrives on Earth like a decade or two after he does, and so she feels sort of like her purpose was missed. And I think what they're doing is they're establishing that she already has these flaws and these sort of inner demons that she's trying to overcome. She likes to party. She gets as drunk or whatever as a Kryptonian can get, and it's all because she's trying to hide this sort of these feelings of loss and of loss of purpose that she's been going through. I think it's a little more straightforward. I think James is smart for doing it that way. He's not just playing it kind of simple, but he's going to give her a real big emotional arc when it comes to her movie and explore those themes of like I mentioned, of her being older and experiencing the loss of Krypton. It's a lot more heavy for her than it is Clark, because she was old enough to understand what was happening, and her parents and her family put it on her to protect the last son of Krypton, and she didn't really get to do that if they stick with the story. But we'll see what happens.
Feels like they're not.
I really do think they are, and James is sort of talked about that a little bit. That
Oh, okay.
her, yeah, James said that her experience with the destruction of Krypton is a lot different than it is for Kal-El. So
I
yeah,
heard you say. I heard you say it's a lot more complicated and not disturbing, but more, I guess, sad.
he's
Even
gonna
more.
put a twist in there where like her parents were the ones that caused the destruction or something, and then what's gonna
I
happen?
could see that. I mean, that
That's
would,
fine. I mean, that's all like exposition stuff that has nothing to do with Earth,
We,
and that causes her drinking problem.
Because Krypton is over. It's done with. It's gone. It's
Wow,
like addressing
David, say that
the
to
colonies
Superman's
of
face.
1776. I mean, we don't even talk about that now. It's all gone.
but we're also not Kryptonian. Like we're not as advanced as they are.
Well, we're still Americans, though. We don't talk about the colonies. We don't talk about the New England unless it has Patriots on the end of it.
There you go,
David. I would just I would just stop.
No, man, that's the truth.
Amen.
I mean, we don't talk about dial-up internet anymore. We've moved on.
I wonder if they'll talk about her the mini city that she's from that they kept in a glass. I forget what the name of it is because I'm old, but I wonder if they're gonna do that. It would be maybe far fetched to do that, but we do know that Lobo's in it.
Yeah,
he might have it. You never know.
Jason Momoa is coming back to the DCU, and him playing Lobo. That character was written for him. Like I mean, because if you watch Aquaman, like no joke, it was just Jason Momoa being himself. That wasn't Aquaman. That was just him, just being all like, right. Yeah, all right, and then like him just like that was Lobo. That was him being Lobo dressed up as Aquaman. Like that is Lobo. He is just like that kind of, really outgoing guy. Aquaman was always like that very noble, kind of king that ruled, and he was not a rock star. He was never like that. So, James Gunn version of Aquaman in the future is going to be real interesting. I'm really curious of what they're going to do with his version of Aquaman.
Here's what's weird to me, Colin. Don't you think that I think what was supposed to be the biggest plot twist was that Superman is fighting a clone of himself? Shouldn't that have been a bigger like plot twist? I feel like nobody really
so if
reacted the way that we're supposed to react to that. A clone of Superman is on Earth, and now he's gone, and I feel like it was not executed in a way that really should have been that big of a deal.
So it was executed in a way that it was the head of DC and didn't know what was next. So it had to be a clone, and it couldn't have been like some other big character that someone else is going to direct in the future. He doesn't want to have the same
Superman. So Ultraman basically was Superman in the comics from a different universe. That was evil. That was basically what Ultraman was. So I kind of figured in some capacity, some way, it was going to end up being David Cornsweet under that mask. I just didn't know what version it was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be Bizarro. I didn't know if it was if it was going to be a clone. I didn't know if it was going to be like actual Ultraman from like a different universe. Like I didn't know exactly what version, but I kind of assumed it was going to be David Cornsweet under that mask, just because as soon as it came out that it was Ultraman, I was like, okay, that's got to be David Cornsweet over there. And then even from the trailers, he had David Cornsweet's kind of walk. So, but I think he should have gone the Bizarro route. That would have been real interesting. And, we may see him again. He got sucked into a black hole. He could get
picked up by Darkseid.
Yeah, I mean, hey, who knows?
Yeah, it didn't work for him having the same DNA to infiltrate the Fortress of Solitude and to be able to beat Superman the way he got beat. So that's why it couldn't have been Bizarro.
Did you guys Did you guys see the meme of where someone's like, "Hey, hey Lex, how many A's are in Superman? 1 A, one."
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh man. Geez.
Nicholas Holt is the best part of the movie. I'm willing to,
He was great.
declare that right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And
Oh man.
Dave ruined the movie for me when he said he sounds just like Tom Cruise, and now I cannot watch anything with Nicholas Holt in that movie that does not sound like Tom Cruise.
That's funny.
Sounds just like Lex Grossman.
So I think what went wrong, I mean, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but Jesse Eisenberg was he was too obscure and weird to be Lex Luthor in the Snyder films. I don't think he was a real good Lex, and I think he was like, I don't know. They just really pushed like the real weirdness of him in those movies. So with this version of Lex, I think there was that balance of where it was, it showed what what his mission was, what his insecurities were, and it reminded me of the old Lex from 1978 from the original Superman movie. There was a lot of reminiscing scenes from that. So, and I just think that this take of Lex Luthor was great, and you also saw, the passion and everything he did. And I know I was just making the joke of him saying 1A, but that one scene, that was like of him comparing himself to other geniuses from the past. Like, it just shows you like of how he sees himself and stuff like that, and how Superman was calling him out of being like you don't have envy, like no, like you do have envy, like you are jealous of me, is basically what he was saying. And he's like, yes, I am, because I don't think you deserve that power because you're not using it the way that I want to use it. And that's basically how he was in the comics. So again, I think they crushed the way that that Lex was portrayed in this film. And at the end of where the world realizes that Lex was the true villain, and he sheds that tear, like it's just like, that is, oh man, like things are going down in the future. He's not gonna be happy.
That's also an interesting
Yeah.
thing that James does, because it's almost like, how does Lex get out of that? You put him so far in the villain category that smooth talking, manipulative Lex almost, I feel like, can't get out of that situation. Like, it's almost like he's just going to be declared a villain for the rest of his time. And a really good Lex Luthor kind of plays the seemingly good guy, good Samaritan, a lot, and does the things in the shadows that bugs Superman, or tries to deal with Superman. So I'm just like, it's weird that you're putting him in a corner so soon, when
See, I disagree with
you
that
could
too,
play with
Ted,
the
because
dichotomy of it for a while, huh?
I mean, he's so smart. He can get out of prison. I mean, that's not going to be a big roadblock.
No, I think he will escape. I mean, so kind of
Yeah.
segueing over to Peacemaker. His thing, in season was when like of the old neighbor guy, where like he was just like, hey, like, where's all your super, like of all your super villains? Like, Batman has a ton, and then Peacemaker goes off on him, and he's just like, well, because I kill all of them, like, like they don't exist for a reason, like. Like I give them peace, like that's why they call me Peacemaker, and
I let them rest in peace.
yeah, and And I think that, there is some truth to that because all the villains that Batman and Superman and all of them put away eventually escape prison, and and then they, like the cycle just keeps going on and on and on, where like they escape, they get captured, they get put back, and that's what happened in the original Superman. Lex Luthor did not stay in there, and at one point he becomes president of the United States. So I'm curious if they'll go down that road. And I know that James Gunn was like, that he wanted to take inspiration from a lot of like the different um, DC projects that happened, including like the some of the animated shows as well. In Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, Lex Luthor does become the president almost, and then like in a different story he does. But yeah, so man, they really crushed with oh no, I think we lost Ted. um yeah, no, I think they crushed with how they portrayed Lex Luthor, and I'm really excited to see of where they end up going with these different supervillains and stuff like that. And with Peacemaker, what's interesting is season one of Peacemaker is canon. So, and they mentioned, Aquaman, the Flash, Green Arrow, all these other heroes, and we know that in this movie of Superman, that that he's been, Superman for about 3 years now, and all these other heroes exist, but the Justice League doesn't exist yet. And right now it's like the Justice Gang. We've seen signs of the JSA, the Justice Society of America. So it should be super. Oh, man, I am excited to see where this goes. It just sucks that we have to wait so long for some of these projects to come out.
Did you
It's
see
worth it in the
Justice
end.
Gang, Colin?
Yeah, because they call themselves the Justice Gang in the movie because they're
I
not
was
the
going to
Justice
say
League
that's
yet.
a cool name.
Oh, nice.
You're in.
You're in.
Yeah.
The
I
the
also
cool
vote.
thing,
Oh yeah.
I'm excited to see what James puts together. He's got a great team, a part of building this universe. I think Mark Barnardin's also a part of the writing or the creative brain trust building the DC universe. Don't quote me on that, but I think he's a part of it. And earlier today, James said something that was interesting where he revealed that there's a big sort of story arc that involves a character that we are familiar with, that's really going to start taking center stage starting in the next Peacemaker season. And he says it's not someone we expect. He says no one will guess who it is. And so that has me very intrigued. And I'm already starting to try and guess in my head who it is. Maybe it's someone like the engineer who probably has a bigger backstory. We know she's mad at Superman. We don't know why she's mad at Superman so much. So it might be someone like that, or it might be a character from Peacemaker or Peacemaker himself who's going to be this sort of big focal point for the DC universe going forward. We shall see.
I think it's Polka Dot Man.
You think so? You might not be wrong, sir. I think there's a lot that could go on with him being the focal point. But yeah, I don't put anything past James to sort of really execute his plans when he's got something cooking like that. I'm interested. We'll see what happens. All right. And if you guys are watching this later on, I want to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on the Superman film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Which parts are your favorite? And let us know in the comments. The next time you see us will probably be from the center of the Geek Universe, San Diego Comic Con 2025. We'll be
Yes.
dropping panel clips. We'll be dropping interviews. We'll be highlighting and covering the activations that they have out there. Just about everything. So stay tuned for more from the Countdown City Geeks and the Star Wars Stuff podcast from San Diego Comic Con. That'll do it for us. Be sure to visit spaceconssa.com. That's spaceconssa.com to see the full list of guests and to buy your tickets as well as your photo ops and your autographs. There is a military discount right now, so go look on the site. If you get the military discount code, I believe it's 10 or 15% off right now of everything. So go check it out. Do not miss it. It's the best event to attend. There's people from all over the world that are coming to San Antonio for this event. The guest list is huge, and it's only going to get bigger. So do not miss it. This October, the Emperor himself will be in attendance. That'll do it from us. My name is Ted, aka Mr. Hall H. Joining me this week was SDCC Dave.
I will see you in San Diego.
And we also got SDC Colin.
Batmite and Howard the Duck should have a movie. That's my hot take. There you go.
There you go. See you guys next week from the center of the geek universe, San Diego Comic Con. Peace.